live with the puppies that I'm dog sitting. We've got Aspen right here. We've got Maggie, who, of course, is just always the star of the show and needs everyone to know it. And we've got the other two dogs that are hanging around. And I had someone ask me on Threads today about astral projection. And so I thought, well, why don't, instead of waiting to the end of the day when I'm really tired and just trying to get this done, why don't we do this while I've still got some Adderall in my system and I'm excited about doing some work. So I'm joining you here for a few minutes before I head to the ski mountain for the day to talk about astral projection. And I guess we have to start with like my definition of astral projection. You could think of it as like an out of body experience. And it's something that I have experienced naturally my whole life, often against my will. And it's something that people actually like go to trainings to learn how to do. And it has deep spiritual links to in a variety of different religions and spiritual practices around the world. But the first time I experienced it was when I was at boarding school. I was in high school. I was probably around 12 or 13 years old. And I was walking between buildings. I went to boarding school on the East Coast on this huge 400-acre campus just surrounded by woods. And I should probably spend one of these YouTube videos just talking about all the crazy shit that went down at boarding school. But the experience I had was I was walking from a science building to the main quad, and all of a sudden I was watching myself walk. I was not in my body, I was outside of my body, and I was watching my body walk. And I was like, how did I get here? Like, why am I not seeing through these eyes? Why am I suddenly over here watching my body walk along this path? And then as soon as I had that thought of like, why am I not in my body? I was back in my body. And it was just like that. What a weird, that was such a weird experience for me. And it turns out the campus I was living on was actually extremely haunted. And this is something I believe is one of the reasons that I was sent to this campus. I got a full scholarship there. I'm often sent to very deeply haunted places. There had been a traumatic murder that had happened on campus, one of a few murders that this school was famous for. If you want more information about this stuff, you can Google the Madeira School. I've written a few things about it, or you can ask me some questions here, and I'll talk more about it. But this forest was a portal for these kind of like out of body experiences. And I've never talked to anyone I've at this school about any of this stuff. So I have no idea if anyone else was having the experiences. Flash forward years later, I'm in college and I'm driving a bunch of us from Santa Barbara to Los Angeles to go to a show. And I get off the freeway in my little 4-speed Tercel, my manual transmission 4-speed Toyota Tercel, my first car. Uh, and this turn is like a corkscrew turn off of the freeway. And I didn't realize that. So all of a sudden, I'm going like 60 miles an hour and I need to come down to 15 miles an hour. And there's no way I'm going to slow down in time. Like we are going to go off the road. And I just remember closing my eyes really tightly. And then I couldn't feel anything. And then I was back in my body and we had survived somehow. We had survived. And years later, I was speaking with someone about the experience of like shifting timelines of times when you actually might have died. Like if we gotten in a car accident at that point, we actually might have died. I love this person saying, shh, no, you just get out of here, little one. You just get out of here, Lorelai. If you want me to shut the fuck up, you can just move on to the next thing. You don't have to tell me to be quiet. You can just move on. You don't have to be a butthead about it because I'm going to call you out and you're going to feel like a butthead for the rest of the day. So no, I won't shh. I'm just going to get louder every time someone tells me to shh. Okay? Okay. So, so, this was another experience of astral projection, of essentially jumping timelines, having this out of body experience of almost dying. Oh, and Mike is also like, shh, okay, keep doing it. Keep giving it to me so I can just get louder and louder. It just gives me more and more attention. I just love it. I just love the attention from people who don't think they like me. But the truth is, you don't like yourselves. Sorry, you have daddy issues. Sorry, your mommy didn't love you. Nothing I can do about it. Actually, you could hire me. You could help me out you with it, but you'd have to pay me a lot of money, and quite frankly, you can't afford me. So astral projection is essentially this out of body experience, and it people often associate it with dreaming. So you go into not quite a sleep restful state. It's a subconscious state, which begs the question, what is consciousness? And this is something I have studied for literally decades now, of what is consciousness. So in my master's program of traditional Chinese medicine, we took I took a Taoist class, a required Taoism class, and it totally blew my mind. But one of the best assignments we got, the only assignment we had for this class, was we had to answer the question, who are you? And halfway through the 10-week semester, one of the students got frustrated and said, every time I go to write this essay, I look back at what I've written before, and it's no longer true. I no longer identify with who I thought I was the week before. And this all relates to consciousness, because consciousness, as the human brain, is your little lizard brain, the little tiny capacity of brain that you personally have access to, understands it, cannot possibly embrace all that you are. And so you come up with all of these ways to define yourself. So who am I? My name is Morgan Balavage. I identify as a cis hetero straight woman. But that changes from day to day as well. That's all a moving target. Some days I have a nickname. Some days I introduce myself as another name. Some days I'm a yoga teacher. Some days I'm a healer, depending on who I'm talking to. If they ask like, hey, what do you do for a living? I use different terminology in order to identify myself. So then how does my consciousness relate to that? Well, your consciousness is simply your perception of what you are and who you are and what you are currently experiencing. So it could be argued that consciousness is your physical experience of your relationship on this earth. So it could be the five senses perhaps that you're familiar with, right? Like seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing. And then the sixth sense, that spiritual sense of just like this all-knowing, omnipresent being of understanding like you are everything. You are everything. You're the same. You're the same as this dog right here. You're the same as me. You're the same as this candle right there. You're the same as this snowstorm that's coming in. You're the same energy as everything. If you think of the ocean, you've got the drop of water in the ocean, but that is not separate from the ocean, right? That's just its own little molecule as the human brain understands it. So when it comes to astral projection, what you are doing is projecting yourself into another timeline, into another dimension, into another form of consciousness. And so last night I had a massage. I get a Friday night massage from an incredible healer here in town. His name is Nicholas Adams. He and his wife Natalia are just incredible healers, and I'm happy to pass along their contact information to anyone visiting the area here in Wyoming. Highly, highly recommended. He offers a lot of psychic messages, as many healers do, with permission, of course, with consent. And one of the things we talked about was enlightenment versus darkenment. And there cannot be one without the other. You cannot have the light without the dark, right? So let me bring this all around to relate it back to astral projection. I had this incredible, massage, and we had this incredible messages that come through of the immensity, the concept of infinity, the concept of abundance as the concept of infinity, right? True abundance is like there is no lack, there is no scarcity, and there is nothing that you can have in this world that like everyone can't have, right? You can have as much of whatever you want in this world. So I'm having these deeply like philosophical, messages coming through in addition to receiving like really, deep and healing body work. And then I did not sleep at all last night. I was in a subconscious state. I was not in this sort of, I'm not like just awake, like waiting for time to pass in bed. But I'm not asleep. I'm not in a restful state of mind where my body is actually healing. I was being projected into other timelines. And this is something that happens, as I said, naturally to me and often against my will. And it's rarely something that I seek out because I'm like, I just fucking want to sleep. All right. I'm tired. And I just want rest, but true rest doesn't often come for me at night. It comes for me through the other practices I do, like skiing on the mountain, which I'm going to go do in a few minutes here. Okay, let me look at my notes. Okay, so what is consciousness? Okay, so how the question then is how do you use this information if you're the type of person who naturally astral projects? And I do not recommend experimenting with this without some sort of trained spiritual guide, and you're going to have to go into the Eastern modalities in order to really get in there. There are no Western modalities that can even touch upon what I'm talking about. But it is a deeply meditative state where your spirit can travel to another timeline. And the only time I have to believe for myself, the only time that my spirit will let it happen is if it is in relationship to my highest healing. So the astral projection that I was doing last night after, I got into this subconscious state, and then all of a sudden my spirit was like, we got to go. We got to go to this other place in order to heal something that I'm grieving right now. And I'm grieving a lot. I've had a hard year. My grandma died last year. My dog, my soulmate dog, died last year. I had a breakup. I had a miscarriage. There's a lot of stuff that my body is processing right now. I'm kind of at the tail end of this grief processing. So my body was like, we've got to go to these other timelines, and we've got to have a few healing conversations with these entities that you have lost in order for you to be able to move on to this next stage of your life. So if you are someone who has experienced astral projection, if you are someone who wants to experience astral projection, it does not come from a place of wanting to fuck shit up. Okay, it needs to come from a place of healing, which means that, to me, healing, health, is your body is able to do what you want it to do within reason. So this is why healing never really ends, okay? And I know people are like, "Oh, I'm done and I'm healed. I'm all good." It's like, "No, no, no. That's not that's not how healing works. Healing is an ongoing process of asking your physical body, "Hey, what does this body in this time, in this consciousness, in this moment, in this now, taking in everything around me, what does it need to do what I want it to do?" And then you go and do that thing. That's what healing is. And so this is what my spirit and my body were doing for me last night. They were astral projecting so that I could heal, so that I could move on from this grief that's been, really heavy. I don't know if you have been through any of those things: losing a family member, losing a pet, losing a body that dies in your body. Well, it's tough. It's a tough one. Only, people with uteruses will ever experience that. And then, losing relationships, all of us will experience that. All of those things happening back to back within the span of a few months, man, it was a rough year. So no wonder my body was like, girl, you're not going to get any sleep tonight. We're coming up on eclipse season. If you're astrologically inclined, we're just coming off of the full moon and moving into eclipse season. So it was like, we're going to eclipse these things out before we move into eclipse season. We're going to get rid of this energy for you. We're going to let you say the words that you need to say to these spirits that you are grieving, so that you can move forward into your deepest form of abundance and into your highest form of enlightenment. And as I referenced earlier, enlightenment versus endarkenment, two sides of the same coin. You have to be able to live in the dark in order to live in the light. And enlightenment, my favorite definition of enlightenment from one of my Buddhist mentors, enlightenment is simply, are you listening? Simply being so grateful for the present moment, so grateful, looking around you, taking in, like I'm, house sitting right now in the middle of a forest, taking in the winter trees, taking in the snowpack, taking in the dogs that are around me, taking in the smells, taking in the taste, taking in the feelings that I'm feeling in my body, and being so grateful, so awed, being able to say, wow, to this exact moment, that you are not thinking of the past and you are not thinking of the future. You are not trying to fix something from the past. You are not trying to fix old hurts. You are not trying to plan for the future so that you are safe. You are just so grateful for this moment that poof, you are enlightened of all of the burdens of your human ego. Isn't that just a lovely definition? Okay, let me go through these comments now. Let's see. So we have Lorelai, who is admitting that they are baiting. We've got Ashish, hi, first like, I don't, whatever. Someone typed, I want to understand you, but I don't know English. All right, well, then you can tune into a different channel. Can you show the view around you? No, I'm not going to do that. You can check out my Instagram if you want to check out my stories. You can see the views from there. Am I Christian? What a wonderful question. I went to Christian school for a few years. Christianity in its current form is pure indoctrination. Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness, that's pure love. Pure love. Christ consciousness is enlightenment. Christ consciousness is being grateful for the present moment. Do I identify as a Christian? Absolutely not. I do not identify with any organized religion. However, I study every organized religion because all of them have a little bit of truth to them, but there is no one path that gets you to enlightenment except for your own path. And anyone who tells you differently is trying to control you. And Christianity in its current form, especially here in America, is all about control. So no, I am not Christian. We got bro shut up. Absolutely not. Okay, and then we got a bunch of roosters. Laura's lie still hanging in there. Okay, I made it past 10 minutes for my goal of going live every day this month for at least 10 minutes, just to see what happens, just to see what comes up, just to see what kind of connections I make. There's no strategy here. I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing my experience as a human on this earth, just the same as you. Just the very same as you. We are all one. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner you get to experience the peace of enlightenment. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Give me a follow here if you want to, And if you don't want to, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck away from me. Okay, bye. Mwah.